first, though,
Beats.
Philly in New York. This was fun. You didn't have Joel. You didn't have Mitchell Robinson. It sort of felt a little more even in that regard. Tyrese had 26 assists, 6 turnovers. Jalen Brunson finishes with 26. He was 9 of 21 with his 6 assists. And OG Anunoby with 24 and 4 steals. And there was a stretch there where it just felt very OG Anunoby time. And then the problem became when he limped off the court in the fourth quarter. Not sure yet what is wrong with him, Chandler. They're up 2-0 in the series. They do go back to Philadelphia, but he's a pretty big piece of what they got going on here. If he's out, what do you make of that?
It's a big blow to New York. This guy's been playing the best basketball probably of his career, offensively and defensively. What he's given them on both sides of the ball really is tremendous. And he's just such a solid player, right? Like, he doesn't take bad shots. He plays within the offense. He can guard 1 through 5, which on this Philly team is so critical because they have so many athletic, dynamic guards with VJ and Maxey. Then they got these bigger wings that can shoot the basketball and ISO you like Paul George. And OG can guard every single one of them. And obviously they got Bridges on Brunson, who's found his offensive game. But this guy's been so consistent throughout this run that they're on right now. And obviously Jalen Brunson's the head of the snake. He's the man. We know how talented Cat is. But OG's arguably been their second best player in these playoffs. So they're going to need him. And Philly's been down before. Look, this was a battle last night. I think there's 25 lead changes, 14 ties. Like, no one was up more than 6 or 7 points, I think, last night. So this was a dogfight. This is going to be a competitive series, especially going back to Philly with OG banged up. The series is by no means over, but you got to give credit to New York. They're playing great. Jalen Brunson's hitting big shots. OG's been phenomenal. Cat's been better. Bridges has found his offensive game, like I said. So this series is going to get more competitive. But OG, the Knicks fans, got to be a little bit worried that this guy's been playing at such a high level and could possibly, miss some time. That would not be ideal.
I hate it. I hate it, Lou.
I hate it as well, especially the way that he's been playing. Like, OG has been lights out. You can make a case that he's been the best player in the last 2 or 3 games, starting with the Atlanta Hawks series and moving on to the Philadelphia series. He's just been a glue guy. He's been that one consistent that the New York Knicks needed. We know what Jalen Brunson and Cat are going to bring to the table. We always talked about the other guys, right? That's why you bring in an OG and Anunoby for moments like this, to have the games that he's been having against his opponents and just being able to be a force on the offense and a defensive end. So, New York having a guy like him go out at this time, having a 2-0 lead, it couldn't have come at a better time if somebody was going to go out of the lineup. But you hate to see it right now, especially with a Philly team going back home, being able to retool, hopefully get some rest and make this an interesting series. But without OG, it'll be interesting to see how they can even do that with him being out of the lineup. So that's something to watch. Hopefully he gets better and it's not a serious injury. But, if you're Philadelphia, if you're the 76ers, you're looking at this as an adjustment and as an opportunity for you to try to make this thing interesting.
Yeah, he did miss some time with a hammy back in November, and you hope it's not that. And if it is that, you hope it's as minor as possible. Speaking of injuries, the news that we weren't going to have Joel last night, bit of a bummer. He did look a bit slow in game 1. It was such a quick turnaround for them. I also feel like, just quite frankly, Lou, it's like we can't have nice things when it comes to Joel. And it's just always something. It bums me out more for him than us. But if he's not able to go, or if he's not fully healthy, are we looking at a sweep here?
No, I think this Philadelphia team has enough. I think last night they ran out of gas. Winning is hard. Winning is hard work in this league. And you look at the series before, look what they had to go through to even get here. They had to exert a lot of energy. They had to put a lot out on the table for them to be able to advance and get to this round. I think they're just a team that's playing a step slower than New York right now because of that last series and what they had to go through to get here. And especially if you're going to have Joel Embiid out, I think that changes the dynamic of that team, but I still feel like they have enough. When you have Joel Embiid in the lineup, it gives you a different look. It gives you different ways to play. You can play a more physical type of game. You can play a game where you can give the guy the basketball and he can go score points for you within the paint and bring up your paint touches and whatnot. And when he's out of the lineup, it turns you more into a faster paced team that shoots more jump shots, that plays at a pace that suits Tyrese Maxey. So I think they can make this interesting with or without Joel Embiid. But man, he's an added tool that you can use in your tool shed when you're playing against a team like this. So that's also something that you got to pay attention to, whether he's going to be in and out of the lineup. If he's going to be out of the lineup, I still feel like they have an opportunity. But when he's in the lineup, I think he gives them even a better opportunity with scoring opportunities in the presence that he has on both ends of the floor, especially being down 2-0 right now. And you're playing against a team like New York that has a cat that can play the 4 or 5, put a lot of pressure on you, extend it out to the 3-point line. You know, Joel Embiid is one of those guys that can mitigate some of those things. But with him out of the lineup, you rely more on Drummond. You rely on some of these other guys that'll give you different dynamics than Joel Embiid doesn't. So, is it a sweep if he isn't healthy? I don't think so. I still think the Sixers can battle it back, but right now it's looking crazy.
Yeah, I agree with Lou. I think there's so much basketball left. And we just talked about, look, this game was a historically close game. I mean, 25 lead changes, and that's without Joel Embiid's 25, 8, and 5, which he averaged in the first series in the playoffs. So that is a huge hole if they can't get him. It's going to be collectively, like Lou just said, what can Bona give them? Which is a crazy thing to say. What can Drummond give them? Can Grimes step up? Can Paul George kind of be playoff P? Like, we need VJ to be fantastic. Like, it's going to have to be all hands on deck because you are missing 25, 26 points a game without Joel Embiid in the lineup. Now, he struggled a little bit with his efficiency. He's only shooting 13% from the 3 in the playoffs and 42 from the field. We're used to him dominating, being more efficient, getting to the rim. A couple of these games, we've seen him settle, take those early long threes just because how he's being defended. But I don't see a sweep either way. This team has learned to play without him. Guys' roles adjust accordingly. Guys' opportunity continue to expand, and they have enough talent to compete, which they showed us last night. Like, this game was insanely tight until that stretch at the end of the game where I think they had a lead, and I think New York went on a 12-something run to end
They
the
went
game.
cold.
Like
Philly went really cold too.
This whole narrative would shift right now, obviously, if it was 1-1 going back to Philly, and they had their opportunities to win game 2 without Joel Embiid.
Yeah. And they got to just take care of the basketball. You know, 18 turnovers to 20 assists. That tells me they're not taking care of the basketball. And then that also tells me that the ball is getting sticky a little bit. To beat this New York team, you got to get your assist up to 25 because they're a team that they thrive in the ISO basketball as well. So if we're going to get to an ISO, just give our guy the ball, that is going to sway New York's way. They're able to get to the line. Look at the night that Cat had. He didn't have his best night. Well, he was efficient. He was 6 for 8 from the field, but he also was able to chip in 7 free throws from that. When you can get to the line 9 to 10 times in a game, that is a different deluxe that you can have, that you can go to. So if Philly is going to get to a trade basket war with New York, that's going to sway New York's way. Especially if they're not going to share the basketball and just turn it into an ISO game.
There was a lot of foliage, is what I like to call it now, seemingly at the beginning of this one. By the way, we did get a little scuffle, if you will, scuffle light, perhaps is what we'll call it. A little dust up. Jeremy Sohan. I mean, this is what he does. Whether he plays or not is a different matter. But he and VJ Edgecombe getting into a little bit. But this is what he does. But I'm wondering, as a player, you guys, if a dude who barely plays gets in your face, what are we thinking here?
Boy, get out the way.
Yeah, there's not much to say to a dude that's not out there competing during the game. So you take it with a grain of salt. You use it as fuel, but you also got to know this is what Jeremy Sohan does. This is what he's about. He's a tough, hard-nosed player that likes to mix it up. So if you're VJ, you just keep it pushing, but you let your game do the talking, and you worry about the guys that are actually on the court that you're competing against that are beating you 2-0 in this series, not the guy in his warm-up still chirping over there.
Wonder what he said. Like, what could he have said to him, really?
It don't even matter. Like, don't insert yourself in none of this, especially when you outside the lines. If you haven't racked in any time on this floor and you haven't done anything, especially if you haven't done it at the level of this rookie that you're talking to, and VJ Edgecombe, stay out the way. Don't get involved in this. Like, don't become a distraction and become somebody that's targeted, and you're not even in a position to go out on the floor and do anything about it, man. Stay out of that. That looked crazy, Sohan.
You know what's interesting
on.
though is if OG misses some time too, he could
He got to
see
go
some
out there.
minutes. So he's got to be out there.
Unless
got,
I'm
B?
reading this wrong, he played 1 minute. So y'all need to back up.
Nah, but
he's got
I know
They put him in at the.
And listen, and we got young guys that play more than that we criticize, and he ain't no young guy no more. So stay out of that. That 1 minute don't qualify you to say nothing to VJ Edgecombe right now. Nothing.
I think they literally put him in the end of the first half with like 7 seconds left for defense.
Something like that, probably. Yeah, actually, you're right, because they literally said, "And for defense, we're going to put in Jeremy Sohan." Good point. Look, we're gonna go positive here, right? Benefit of the doubt. We get OG back in this. And I think we've already sort of established that if they don't go to the finals, it's a failure, just given how they ended last season, and then they fired their coach, Lou.
We're gonna go positive, but let's take a little negative if they don't go.
But no, I
I'm
gotta
for
set
the
the scene. I gotta set the scene. However, you know what? You're right. I'm going negative. Forget I said that. If they don't make it to the finals, given what we've seen of them so far and sort of the whole backdrop of the Eastern Conference, this has got to be considered a failure, more than what we've already discussed, right?
1,000%. And with a cherry on top, the Boston Celtics are out now. This is your golden opportunity to get through. We've always said the speed bump was the Boston Celtics. Now that Philadelphia has done that, and you got Philly down 2-0, and you got a tired team on the ropes, this is your golden opportunity. Everything that we've said that the New York Knicks have, from coaching, from players, from depth, to all of these things to get out of the Eastern Conference, it's lining up perfectly for them. Now, the two teams on the other side, they're going to challenge each other as well. But as far as the teams that's left, that has the experience that you need, that has the expectation level that's there, and everything that's needed to get to the next round and then eventually get to the NBA Finals, it's going to be the New York Knicks. It's trending their way. If anything crazy happens between now and then, it would be the biggest. It'll be the biggest letdown that you could possibly think of when it comes to it. So make no mistake about it. It'll definitely be a disappointment if they don't make the finals out of the teams that's left in the Eastern Conference.
Yeah, it's a great point, because the minute the Celtics went down, I feel like how good of a season they had. They were kind of, even though they weren't the 1 seed, and the Pistons should get more respect and flowers, the Celtics were the team I feel like the Eastern Conference teams had to go through, right?